When I bought this iPad mini 6 months ago, I also got this keyboard case from Arteck. I've been using this case for a while now. How's it been to use? Would I recommend it for you? Stay tuned and let's find out. Welcome back to my really messy office, and thanks for tuning in today. It's July 2025 as I record this. Back in 2024, in December, I purchased this iPad mini, and in January of 2025, bought the Arteck HB342 keyboard case for it. I made a couple of videos about the iPad mini, and one specifically about this case when I got it, the link for which is probably up in maybe that corner. I don't know, one of the corners. Best to go watch it if you want to see my initial impressions, because I'm going to talk about a few things I identified back then that could be issues. But I know you might not watch it. And so back then, I identified two things in particular that concerned me. This angle that the screen tilted and the location of the apostrophe key. Strange details, but very real. But 6 months of use can flag different things, and I'm going to touch on those two. Let me start with a story of the good. In my initial review, I was struck by how well this case seemed to protect the mini itself. I was right, but I had no idea how right I would be. I used my mini for field work managing roadside bears. I was pulled over on the shoulder of a paved road back in early May. I'd done some work and was using the hood of my truck as a desk to enter the work data on the mini. I got a call on the radio that there was a bear roadside a couple of kilometers ahead. I jumped in my truck and sped down the road. Sure enough, there were a bunch of cars parked next to a roadside grizzly. I got them to move on, and I went down the road about 500 more meters to pull a U-turn and come back. I got the bear to monitor it, staying 100 meters away, like you're supposed to with roadside bears. I went to grab my iPad and enter this data of this particular encounter, and there was no iPad in my truck. I got convinced I'd left the iPad on the hood of my truck somewhere. It had fallen off. So I left the bear. I retraced my steps. I drove back to where I started, came back to the bear, went back to where I pulled the U-turn, frantically searching the road and ditches for my iPad. And I found it where I pulled the U-turn. There, it had flown off my hood while I was doing about 15 kilometers an hour and crash landed on the pavement. The case had come apart into its two pieces. It's supposed to do that. Remarkably, despite flying off my hood and sliding along the pavement, there was practically no damage whatsoever. There was a teeny scuff on one corner, a slight scratch on the back on one sort of corner side, and another on the opposite corner. And that was it. The iPad was not affected whatsoever. You want a durable case that will protect your iPad? This has been drop tested out of a moving vehicle onto pavement by me, and everything was fine. Highly recommended. It's great. In my initial review, I said how I didn't like that they'd moved the delete key, but that I'd probably get used to it. Well, I did, but maybe not in a good way. The delete key on the Arteck was moved down a row and put next to the P key. I'm now kind of used to hitting the delete key on this keyboard, but on all my other keyboards, I now type brackets or backslashes instead of deleting because those keys are beside the P key. Turns out I'm not that adaptable. And the apostrophe key is still super annoying and just seems to get worse with time. Again, I'm not a touch typist, but the whole you have to hold down the function key and type an L to get an apostrophe is really disruptive to typing flow. I recently saw a touch typist review of this keyboard, and she said she could adapt to everything about this keyboard except that. I agree. I reiterate from my initial review, the apostrophe and the quotation mark key should have been moved to where the vertical line and backslash key is, and those two keys, which are accessed way less often, should have been made accessible via the function key. My biggest operational bugbear, though, remains the screen angle. I said in my initial review that 18-degree tilt back was not enough. It wasn't then, and it isn't now. That it doesn't tip back far enough has just become increasingly annoying over time. My solution? Increasingly, I just use my little IKEA block and stand the screen in that, which, as I mentioned in the original video, defeats the purpose of needing a keyboard case. But what I've also found is that almost everything is better on the Mini in portrait, not in landscape. Think of the Mini as an oversized iPhone. You'll be in portrait a lot on an iPad Mini. Goes to the advantage of this basic case design. Pop off the screen, and now it's in portrait. So it's back to my little IKEA stand. Pop it apart, put it in the portrait, and the stand is great. And I find I use my Mini in the Arteck keyboard case this way most of all. Not great for work anywhere but on a table or a desk, but there you go. If you want a case that will turn your iPad Mini into a little laptop, believe me when I tell you, the iPad Mini is not a little laptop. It's an overgrown iPhone. You can watch my review here of using my iPad Mini for 6 months. Key conclusion, the iPad Mini is not a productivity device and is not a little laptop. The purpose of this case is to make it so you don't have to type on the Mini's annoying on-screen keyboard. But doing that is just fine. My plan for the 6-month review was going to end there until this happened. About 2 weeks ago in late June, the hinge failed. Normally stiff, it suddenly became floppy. Nothing happened, I didn't do anything, and it did not fall off a truck a second time. Just suddenly one morning, it was floppy. Arteck offers a 2-year warranty, and mine was just 6 months old. I contacted them via email. I sent them a video of the problem. 4 days later, a new one arrived direct from Amazon. No fuss, no issues, super fast, great customer service. So now I have 2 of them. So would I recommend you get this case? Do you want a rugged case that protects your iPad Mini well from a company with great customer service? Then yes. Do you type a lot of apostrophes? Do you make typos and need to delete things? Caution is advised, but maybe you'll get used to it. And get something like my little IKEA block to solve the annoying screen angle problem. And since I never seem to throw anything away, this floppy, broken version of the case will find a home somewhere in my increasingly messy office. Like, comment, and subscribe if you found anything in here useful, and hey, thanks for watching.